Afternoon, everyone. My name's Chris, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Monumental United Methodist Church. We'd especially like to welcome our friends from Richmond who are here to give us a concert, the James River Ringers. So thank you all for coming, and we're hoping that you're going to enjoy the music as well as the beautiful day. So notice in your program, there are a number of events. If you look on the back, coming up, tomorrow we have a classical guitarist coming. Thomas Clippinger is going to come and play. He's Grammy nominated, so I guess he's pretty good. Thank you for laughing. And he also will have through the season a number of different concerts and events that I'm very excited about. So I hope that you'll consider coming back or having your groups participate with us in those. One of the things that we've had as a goal since I got here a little over 2.5 years ago is to have folks from Norcom High School come and sing a concert for us, and that's going to happen. So I'm excited about that very much. And they've been very cooperative. Joe is a great guy, helping run the music program for the Portsmouth district. That being said, during A Mighty Fortress, we're going to come around with the offering plates, and we're going to collect an offering. That offering, the entire offering, is going to the Portsmouth school system music area. So we're hoping to benefit them as a part of what we do today. All right. So thank you to our special guest. It's good to see lots of folks, and we'll be excited for you to experience this music with us. Let us bow our heads. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the chance to be together. Thank you for musicians coming together to make music, help our spirits to be lifted, that we might encounter you and be changed in the journey. I ask these things in your Son's name. Amen. This next piece, Prelude on Thaxted, is well known in the handbell repertoire. Not an easy piece of music, but very, very beautiful. Often in England, this tune is used to sing about their country, and in America, we tend to use it to sing about peace, which is great. And I just think the sereneness of it and then the grandeur of it come out in such a powerful way. I hope this speaks to you. We're using a special technique at the beginning where you use a dowel around the top of the bell, and it's called the singing bell technique, and it makes a very unique sound. See if you can hear it or not. I'm going to be listening. do something very different. We're actually going to have two handbell players play at the same time, but they each have their own part. So you're going to get it stereo. Right? You're going to have the James River Ringers here, and then chime in the back with our own group here from Monumental, plus some new friends. They're helping us out. This piece is called Light of the World by Jason Kroon. It's based on a poem from the Tang Dynasty in the 700s. That's not the piece, don't worry. The poem goes, I wake and moonbeams play around my bed, glittering like hoarfrost to my wandering eyes. Up towards the glorious moon I raise my head, then lay me down, and thoughts of home arise. So you get to experience, our concert is entitled Imagine. You get to experience dreams, you get to experience what our minds are capable of doing, and this piece plays that out to a grand ending. Tonight we're going to play the intermezzo from Carmen, and it's a lot of fun. You have to think toreadors, right, and dancing, even in church, even in church. The next song we'd like to play is called Always. Do any of you remember it from your history in life? It's a love song. Yes, it's that one. And I heard some of you humming along during the first song we were playing, so if you want to hum along during this one, it would be great. One of our ringers commissioned this piece in memory of her mother, who was a pianist, and she and her sister, and it's just such a beautiful setting. Somebody from here in Virginia arranged it. Her name is Kathy Witzinger. They call her Kat. And she's a great, great musician, and she's a big help to the handbell community in Virginia. So we share Always. You should have seen the original guy. He was even crazier. Boy. And all the imagination that took Dahl to come up with these stories, right? The one about the peach and Matilda, just these imaginary worlds that were amazing, really amazing. So when I was thinking about imagine and imagination, I sat down at the piano one day and started to compose a little bit. And so this is only the second time we've ever played this piece in public. And someone in my life who's very special to me inspired me to sit down and see if we could talk a bit about pure imagination. Thanks, Kathleen. So we're going to play Mighty Fortress is our God, and some of our helpers here at the church are going to help us pass the plate. Again, we're benefiting the Portsmouth school system. If you're able to make a donation, that's wonderful. If not, that's okay too. the rest of the bells stay in piano order, right? The same bells are there, right? Someone's responsible for anywhere from 4 to 8 bells, depending on the situation, sometimes more. But down here, there's not enough room in the world to keep it in piano arrangement. And if they were, they'd have to be on one of those scooters like was in on one of those segways, right? They'd be all over the place. So we respectfully bow to the hardest part of being in a head note choir, which is the basic, in my opinion. They don't let me down there. I don't know why. imagining Handel's playing jazz style like that wasn't in my little head anyway, until we started working on that arrangement. And I won't tell you all the things I had to do to encourage them to play it the way they just played it, because I probably would be fired from the church. But it was a lot of fun for us to imagine, what is it that makes this sound the way we want it to sound? What gives it that cool sort of sound? So, amongst the people in front of you, there are people who have played for over 30 years, the handbells. Everybody has another day job other than playing music. But they love this, they love to get together and spend 2 hours together on Tuesday nights and have a good time doing that. So Alex is going to share a little bit about something we're doing in June, and listen up.
So the James River Ringers, part of our mission, in addition to performing fun concerts like this, is also to promote handbell education. We offer workshops on techniques, but in June, on the 7th, we're doing a sight reading and score study workshop, where we will give you tips for how to look ahead at music and make some helpful notes so that you can then tackle it in the most efficient way. Participants will get to read through brand new music from publishing houses and go home with that music. So it's a fun morning of sight reading on June 7th from 9 to 12 in the morning. And you can find more about that and register on our website at jamesriverringers.com.
So this young man's name is John. John wrote the arrangement you're about to hear. It came up in such an interesting way. I went to a board meeting and I said, I want to do this concert. This is what's in my head, but I can't find an arrangement of Imagine. 2 days later, after he read the board minutes, John sent me an arrangement of this song. And my mind went, wait till you hear it. hard words to remember. Can you remember all those words? If you sway, it's okay. If you sing along, it's okay. If you put up a peace sign, it's okay. Right? People imagine something different than what they were going to at the time. They dreamt of something changing. I mean, it was an amazing time in the world. And if we compare it to today, we realize that throughout history, these kind of things happen, right? And for me, it's so sad. There was a university who's getting rid of their music department, right? In Jacksonville, and they did their last concert, and the reel that came on Facebook was just so sad to watch all those people say goodbye to something that meant so much to them. So I hope all of us who are able continue to encourage and shine our light. Bernstein used to say, we will just make music more fiercely, right? Just keep doing what we do. Well, they left. Where did everybody go? Is it a union break? I mean, gosh, Al, that would be terrible if there was a union for handbell players. We'd be in trouble. I'd be in so much trouble in that union, I wouldn't make it. I don't know. They always leave me like this. It's so sad. I mean, I drive all that way to go play with them, and then they leave me in the lurch. All right, come on back, Rob. Mine is the sunshine shirt, I was told. And our famous bass ringer spent her Easter weekend with her children making this for us. We're grateful for her doing that.
Eggs were too expensive.
Eggs were too expensive. It's right. So this will be our next to last piece, and then we have a special surprise for you guys. Just one. here with us today. Thank you. We're musicians, and we love Al's music. He's done some great arrangements, and we'd like to share Moonlight Serenade as our encore.
Yes.
Sorry, we can't do all three of those guys. We're tired. You like it?